Well, as you can imagine, we're very excited about the win this evening. I mean, obviously, it was a very tight game, and I thought especially the second and third periods, we got our legs and played a very controlled game. Did the things that we talked about prior to it, especially in the neutral zone, and I'm just real excited, for our captains and for our team. It's been a very difficult and challenging year, exhausting. If you're involved in college sports, you understand what I'm talking about. But give our players, our support staff, our administrators a lot of credit for giving us an opportunity to do what we were able to do. And we managed things as best we could. We had some hiccups along the way, but we found a way to get it done. And, I couldn't be happier for our entire organization.
Todd, first question.
Mark, congratulations. You looked genuinely stunned when Daryl scored in overtime. Were you? And what was, I guess, just your thought process on what she was trying to do there?
As you well know, I got the worst seat in the house. And so, I saw her get control of the puck behind the net. And then the next thing I know, we had some of our players jump up. And so my thought process was, was it actually a goal? And, then you figure out, how it happened. I still haven't seen it, but, when I talked to her after the game, she just mentioned that the goalie was in a butterfly, so just banked it off her. And it's like, it was just sort of a script that, if I could write it and have somebody score the game-winning goal, it would be her, because, one of the reasons she wanted to come to Wisconsin as she was picking out schools was, the opportunity to win a national championship. And last year we thought we were in a position to make a run at it, and it got taken away from us. And obviously this year, you never knew what was going to happen. And for her to get the overtime game winner and get a chance to host the national championship, yeah, I mean, as a coach, you're in the moment, and you're thinking about the next line that's going out there, what the flow of the game is, and all of a sudden you get a reaction. So yeah, I was stunned, but I'm exhausted. It was awesome though.
Todd, back to you again.
You mentioned being exhausted. Was that just a draining game to watch from your perspective, just from how intense, how tight it was the entire way through? Obviously going to the third tied, and then you go ahead, but it gets tied real quick again.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're just, you're watching the flow of the game. And I thought, especially mid part of the second period, our flow was good. We were moving well. Are you going to be able to capitalize on some of the opportunities? And when McKenna scored in the third period, I thought that might get it enough to get to the finish line. But, they're a strong team. They rebounded against Duluth being down 2-0 and came back and won that game. And so they're not going to lay down, and they scored the next shift. And then it comes down to somebody making a play or an opportunity. But, as a coach, you're in the moment, you're in, what's going on, and you're trying to manage the bench and manage the game as best you can, and make sure that you got everybody focused as they go on and off the ice, especially in overtime when you have the long changes.
Nicole, your question.
Mark, I know we asked about the third line after the semifinal, but with McKenna being, a freshman and the most outstanding player of the tournament, can we just talk about, they scored 4 of your 6 goals. That third line was just so crucial to this team this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last game, and, they continue to mature. I thought Caitlin Snyder in the 3 games we had to play here, her speed was really challenging for the other teams to play against. And obviously, Casey and Mac, had outstanding tournaments. In a normal year, we'd be halfway through the season right now. And so they had to mature and they had to grow up quicker than years past. But then you look at our schedule and what we had to go through this year, and only having 6 home games, and, having to play Ohio State 6 times and Minnesota 5 times. We had to play Duluth. It was a challenge. So they had to grow up quickly, and they were able to do that. And when we needed them to be their best, it was the last 3 games of the season, and couldn't be happier for them. So they got a bright future, and hopefully they'll continue to work like they do and just continue to get better.
George, your question.
Coach, up against a pretty strong power play unit for Northeastern here today, but you guys were able to limit them really, really well. What do you think went into you guys excelling on the special teams here today?
Well, I mean, it goes down to little things, within your structure, and then the players, the willingness to pay attention to those details. And you take away shooting lanes and you're willing to block shots. I mean, it's easy to talk about those things, but the last couple of weeks, against good opponents, and tonight was no different. You're going against some very skilled players, kids that are offensively gifted, and you're just trying to do the little things and not try to do too much. So when we needed a big block shot, maybe it was Bretta Curl, Lacey Eden, a couple of our defensemen, and you can't. It's tough to get the puck to the net sometimes, even though you have an extra attacker. But those are the little parts of the game that I was impressed with tonight, and certainly the things we did in the neutral zone 5-on-5 helped us contain, their better players.
Anything else for Coach? Todd.
I feel like I asked you this a couple of years ago, but you've now done this 6 times. Does this one feel any different? I mean, maybe especially because of what this season has been.
Well, I'll tell you this, Todd, as I sit here right now, this was the most difficult one, and the most exhausting one, from our support staff, Sis and Steph. I mean, those two, went well above anything I've ever seen before, as far as keeping the players testing and all the little things that go into it. But the tough part for the coaching staff and the players is you didn't know what was going to happen the next day. And so you spent 6 months going through that, and knowing at any time you might get the same feeling that we had last spring, where all of a sudden the NCAA calls you up and the tournament's off and you're not going to play. And you spend 6 months doing that, and run into some hiccups along the way. It just it's exhausting. So I'm excited. It's the season's over. I'm really excited for our players because they were challenged. They had a bunch of adversity in a lot of different areas, both on and off the ice. They were able to, challenge themselves, and every time we got challenged, we responded in a real positive way. And it really started, the second half of when we started up in January, where, all of a sudden you got to win a game up in Duluth. And if you do, you're league champions. And it wasn't easy. It was challenging. It was difficult. We were able to do that. And then a week later, you're playing Ohio State for our playoff championship, and you find a way to win a game there. And then you come here and you get your 3 games in 5 days, which, we're not used to, but, give the players credit. They're the ones that earned it. And, as a coach, to sit back and watch it happen, very excited for them.